Hey guys, Silverwood here, back again with another action figure review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Thundercats Ultimates Jackalman, brought to us by the fine folks over at Super7 and a lone tier for my Thundercats Ultimates reviews, because this may be the last one we do for a while. I plan on picking up some more, Hachi Man's out, Safari Joe's coming soon, well, soon-ish. It is Super7 after all, and the one thing they're not super at is getting shit out in less than 2 years, so we'll see about all that. But at the end of the day, for the time being, this is the last Thundercats Ultimates review that I will be posting on the channel. So, are we going out with a bang or a whimper? Why don't we cut right to the chase and get into the meat and taters of this review and find out, because this, my friends, is a carryover from the Mattel days. Oh yes, Club, what was it? Thundera? No. What's the planet they're on? Oh my god, I'm drawing a blank. Third Earth. Club Third Earth. Back when that senile Scott Knight lick my balls fucker was running things right into the ground, might I add, because after this line failed, he kind of disappeared into the ether, and we didn't see him again until he joined Jack Specific. And it's surprising to me that they were able to come back with a line as strong as Sonic 3 after that numbskull was working for him for, well, 5 minutes, quite frankly. So, it is what it is, unfortunately. Mattel didn't put out a lot of Thundercats figures. They put out a half dozen or so, and that was it. However, Super7 picked up the license, picked up the reins, and said, we're going to make everybody, kind of. And for the most part, they have somewhat achieved that, but not without reissuing the Mattel figures. And this guy, Lion-O, Panthro, are straight reissues of the Mattel figures, while Pumira and both Wily Kit and Cat are upgraded versions of those characters. They also re-released Mumra, but his colors are a little different, making the Mattel one probably the only Mattel Thundercats figure worth anything, because he's got the green skin instead of the blue skin. That said, speaking of that old Mattel figure, I do actually have him here with his handy-dandy club weapon. As you can see, they are similar, but they are different. One is a little lighter than the other. I think the armor on this side, on the Super7 one, is a little cleaner, and I will say the Super7 one, ironically, is a little tighter too. This guy's a little bit loose in the ankles and in the ab crunch. At least on mine. I don't know about yours, but there you go. There's your old Mattel Jackalman next to the new, newish, it's been out for a while, Super7 one. And yeah, I think I prefer the Super7 one, not only because the joints are a little tighter, but because he does come with a little bit more in terms of accessories. Now, friend of the channel, Evil Villain, not only did he hook me up with that old Mattel Jackalman, but he also sent me the guns from the accessory set that Super7 put out with the corrected neck piece, which you'll see on this Jackalman here. He has that corrected neck piece. I picked this guy up on Big Bad Toy Store for like 40 bucks. He was on sale for 15 bucks off, whatever it is, and they actually swapped the neck pieces out. Now, I do not have that other neck piece with the missing paint on the front, but that's one less thing I gotta throw in a bag, I guess. But options are options. If you're into that look, I guess try and track that old one down, because I don't know anyone who's using it. But needless to say, that accessory set came with that piece. It came with corrected trunks for Panthro, and it did come with a few guns, and I think an alternate head for Panthro. And my good buddy Evil Villain actually sent me the guns from that pack, and those guns are actually present here. So why don't we take a look-see at all Jackalman has to offer in terms of accessories, starting off with a pair of grip hands, which I will say, his hands are a little bit more rigid than the Mattel one. They're a little bit stiffer. They are still gummy, but they're not as gummy as the Mattel one. As I drop the one on the floor. There we go. So he should be able to hold his accessories a little bit better because my Mattel one has a tendency to drop his club sometimes. That said, he does of course have the alternate head that you saw on the Mattel one. It's just kind of smirking. I like this roaring head. I think all my bad guys from Thundercats are going to be like screaming and yelling like maniacs. I think it just works. That said, we do have a couple of blaster pistols. Right here. This one has some kind of weird, not really ammo clip because there's a slit in it. And this one's got like a wrist guard or a knuckle guard. And then he's got a straight up shotgun. Almost a blunderbuss looking thing. But it shoots lasers. And last but not least, we have his axe. Which I don't know if this is a... I don't think this is an LJN thing, is it? I think this is from the show. It's similar to Slide's axe, but it's not the same. And then we have his club. And that's your lot, which I think is a fair amount of accessories. It's like Monkeying yesterday. It's enough without being excessive, and Slide. So, you know, it just goes to show that Super7 knocked these evil mutants out of the park, whereas some of the Thundercats, well, watch my Chitara video for more on that, I guess. But taking a closer look at Jackalman, it's basically your standard Motu Classics articulation. His head will look side to side. We'll look up, and it actually does get a little bit of down for having that big neck piece. His shoulders will go out this far. This fur tuft is actually a shoulder pad connected to that harness piece, just like the neck fur. So that's kind of clever. I think you're pretty smucking fart, don't you? Mattel engineers. He does also rotate. He's got a bicep twist. That is pretty tight on there. He's got a single jointed elbow with a big old pin in it, just to drive all you pinless freaks nuts. And then he does have swivel hinge wrists. That works fine. His ab crunch will lean this far back. It doesn't really lean forward, does it? Nope, that's as far forward as it leans. He does have a waist twist. His hips. Very tight on this guy. These are like the tightest hips I think I've ever had. But he can do the splits. They're just super tight, which I'm not complaining. He's got a thigh cut, single jointed knee. Now, the calves. I didn't mention this with the Mattel one, but I heated and swapped the calves onto the right sides. The correct sides, I should say. So the left is on the left side, the right is on the right side. When you get this guy, they're swapped. I don't know why. I guess somebody didn't know their right from their left back then and still doesn't now. But I will tell you, if you have that old Mattel one, you can do it. But it is a little difficult. On this guy, I didn't have as much trouble swapping these parts. I don't know if the Super7 plastic is a little softer on the calves or what. But when I heated it, the feet, they popped right off. And the calves took a little elbow grease. I had to kind of twist and turn them to pop them off successfully, but I was able to pop them off successfully. It's a big chunky peg in there. That's what she said. So you shouldn't have to worry about breaking it as long as you use enough heat. I'd recommend a hairdryer. That way you heat up what you need to and not overdo it and risk tearing anything. But it was a lot easier to swap this guy's calves than the Mattel one. But you know, word to the wise, be careful when you're doing that. Don't burn yourself, don't break your toys, all that good stuff. But his calves do work. They were a little tighter before, but now they work a little bit better. They're not as tight, but they're still like, they're not loose or anything like that. said, he does have a hinge in the ankle with a rocker and peg holes at the bottom of the feet. So, very cool figure. Dated, yes, but I'm sure we might see him in the deluxe line at some point. Hopefully the colors match, unlike the Lion-O. And you can swap the parts. That'd be really nice. It'd be nice to get him and Panthro in that deluxe line and not have to paint anything so it matches. So, with that being said, it is time now that we move right along and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here is good old Jackalman alongside his fellow evil mutants. At last, we've been using the Mattel one for comparisons as of late, but now we have the Super7 Jackalman proper to go alongside that big Chungus meatball himself, Slythe, and probably my favorite of the three, Mankion. I don't know, he's a sleeper hit from this line if you ask me. If you could still get him for retail price, I think he's definitely worth having. Even if you don't get all the characters like I did, well, main characters anyways, he is one of the best. And yeah, they knocked these evil mutants out of the park. I'd like to see what a pinless Jackalman has to offer, but I'm okay with this one. This one's fine. He comes with enough stuff, and he looks good next to these two, you know, despite those pins. Getting them out of the way. Make way for our two regulars, the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibular. Right here. Whoop. And the infamous 11 Spawn. Boop. Who, as usual, he's taller, but not enough to be towering, just enough to make the joke. Well, barely enough anyway. So, with that being said, it's time now that we wrap things up with some final thoughts. Overall, and despite the fact that good old Jackalman here is a bit dated compared to the majority of the Super 7 Thundercats Ultimates line, I don't think that makes him a bad figure in the slightest. The articulation is pretty much the same as most of the figures in this line, and the quality is, if you ask me anyways, a little bit better, although friend of the channel, Evil Villain, did tell me that Super 7 was using the Mattel factory to put the initial couple waves of these out, and that's why they have slightly less quality control issues. I'm okay with that, personally. That said, the question most of you are probably wondering is, if you have the old one, should you get the new one? And I'm gonna leave that up to you, because other than the alternate head and the guns, it's the same figure, sculpt-wise. It's not like the Mumra we looked at a little over a week ago, I think. That came with the wired soft goods robe, you know, a little bit more incentive to pick that version up. This guy doesn't really have that kind of upgrade, but to me, if you could pick it up on sale, I think it's well worth it. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and until next time, I'll catch you guys later.